Donald Trump has ruled out using military force in his bid to acquire Greenland, adding he would seek immediate negotiations to take control of the Arctic island. The US president made the comments while addressing the World Economic Forum in Davos. Trump's increasing threats to Europe over Greenland have frayed transatlantic ties and worried Europeans, overshadowing the speech that was intended to focus primarily on the US economy. Take a listen.
I have tremendous respect for both the people of Greenland and the people of Denmark, tremendous respect. But every NATO ally has an obligation to be able to defend their own territory. And the fact is, no nation or group of nations is in any position to be able to secure Greenland other than the United States. We're a great power, much greater than people even understand. I think they found that out 2 weeks ago in Venezuela.
Well, our international affairs editor, Douglas Herbert, joins me now on the set to talk more about this. Doug, we're going to get to the Greenland issue in just a moment, but first I want to hear your main takeaways. What struck you most from that address from the president?
Yeah, he came to Davos in a very defiant posture. It was visible in his body language as he got off the plane and boarded the helicopter to come to Davos from Zurich. What struck me the most, perhaps, is this was a speech laced with all of the traditional hallmarks of what we become familiar with in Donald Trump's speeches: grievances, if not downright anger, a lot of hubris, a lot of smugness, a lot of references to himself, and a lot of potshots at those who dare to criticize him. And also just pure egocentrism. That is, it is all centered, all roads lead to Donald Trump. Any issue defaults to Donald Trump. There was all of that in there and then some. As far as the tone was, going in, a lot of the people in that audience, the big question they were wondering is, to what extent was Donald Trump, or is Donald Trump, and I'm talking about the man personally, not the policies of his administration, which you could say are one and the same, willing to throw his allies, especially his European allies, under the bus in the name of his own territorial ambitions, in the name of his what many see as neo-imperialist expansion agenda. And the answer that they got from this is essentially yes. He is willing to ditch 80 years of a transatlantic world order that has worked for better or for worse, obviously not always very smoothly, in the name of his agenda, which is that agenda of claiming Western Hemisphere hegemony, essentially, and that territorial expansion. The other takeaway is that I went into this thinking of the interview he had given to the New York Times, which perhaps has been underreported a couple of weeks back, in which he said explicitly, I do not need international law. Basically, all I need is my own morality. And that also reinforced another fear among many, or apprehension is perhaps a better term, among many in those audience. And that's that the only thing that can stop Donald Trump when it comes to global politics, that can stop Donald Trump on the world stage, is Donald Trump. He is the first and ultimate arbiter of what is right and what is wrong. Those who dare to push back have to suffer the consequences. Those are my big, broad takeaways from the speech. But like I said, it was laced with, at every point of the way, it was laced with a sense of grievance and another theme, a sense of Donald Trump has been wronged in the past. Donald Trump is now in a position more than ever where he is triumphant, if not totally dominant, and he can now get his own back. He can get his revenge. It was a vengeful speech in many ways.
Well, many here in Europe were listening out in particular for any comments that the president would make on Greenland. He did double down on his comments about taking the island, not by force, he said, but he would seek negotiations to get this done.
Yeah. So, when you look at these speeches and you watch them, Karis, you often think, okay, if someone asks me in 3, 4, 5 months, what did he say in that speech? What is going to be my takeaway line? What will I remember about this speech? And I would suggest for our viewers, this is perhaps, the salient takeaway. It's the I won't take it by force speech, right? That's what the headlines will be tomorrow. I'm not taking Greenland by force. But then there's a ... Okay, you're not taking it by force, But then he also basically implicitly, not so implicitly, he all but said that I will tax and tariff and cudgel you to death with tariffs, and you will essentially disappear as an entity if you refuse my very generous offer to buy this, as he described it, this big block of ice in the North Atlantic that, needs defending. So he was not at all clear while saying he was going to seek negotiations. He wasn't at all clear when specifically asked point blank by a reporter, well, what sort of talks, what sort of a deal would pass muster with you? What would be acceptable to you, Mr. President? He did not specify. You could say, well, isn't that fair? He wouldn't specify. He doesn't know what the outcome of the talks is going to be. But there's a little bit of a sense that he was winging it, in the sense that he went into the speech, perhaps he took the advice of some of his closest advisors, perhaps, just reassure them that we're not invading the place, right? Reassure them that we're not going to send the American forces in. Then say whatever you want. It's your agenda. So he might have taken that on board. He always thinks he's his own best counsel. But for now, he's not taking Greenland by force. I will note, and a lot of people in that audience are probably aware of this, there's no need for him, even if he wanted to take it by force. The U.S. has a small military presence in northwest part of Greenland right now. Under the terms of a 1951 treaty, the U.S. has the rights, if it goes to Denmark, to bring as many more troops as it wants, ramp up that military presence. You don't have to buy it outright. But he did make it clear that in Donald Trump's head, when I said all roads default to Donald Trump, his own personality, his own predilections, he's a real estate man. For him, ownership, literally ownership, not renting, not licensing, that is everything. So this is as much about Donald Trump's own internal dynamics, his own psyche, his own personality, as it is about the hard realities of geopolitics.